are not running.
You a neighbor. He is stealing ducks when you are stealing funds.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got that thing.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Come on, Lou Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Chinese
erratic
Mickey
detective
Rodriguez.
is Mickey Rodriguez.
Why an African supping Indian? Why a man and supping woman? No, Gildarie, you deal with that. You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Gildarie, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that.
Hi, good evening. Welcome once again to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show. It's always a pleasure coming to you and coming to you live. And I hope that wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, keep yourself safe. That's all I'm begging you. That's all Freddie Kissoon and myself are begging you. Because as you know, life is very short. You should not do anything, whether you're on the roadways, whether you're in a building working, to shorten that life. And you know, we do crazy things in this life. Tonight, we have a very interesting guest. This show, since we started last year, has gone to the extremes. I want to say to the extremes. We've taken politicians, we've taken trade unionists, we've discussed things to do with arts. We had people dancing on this program here. So many things. Freddie Kissoon and I almost bossed one another here. But that is the nature of this entire show. Anything can happen, and it is to raise the levels of discussion in this country so we could be able to build a better country. When you have a modern country or you have a developing country, there's a couple of things or indicators which you could take it for granted, things that people look forward to, that they are indications that our country is moving in the right direction, so you could improve and have a quality of life that you could say, yes, we modern, we developed. One of the things that we will look for, good roads, good bridges. You might also want to be looking at what the police are doing, making sure that they do their work and make sure that people are compliant, that they're generally law-abiding citizens. I was driving along Lamaha Street yesterday, and I happened to glance across at the railway that is parallel to Lamaha Street, and I marveled because when you look at the trees and the lights and everything, you see things that are beautiful, and these are things that are consistent with what developed countries, green spaces, safe spaces. Today I saw something that I sat up and smiled, and I realized that this country, regardless of the naysayers, it's on an upswing. It doesn't mean that our politicians are doing everything right. It doesn't mean that President Ali is doing everything right. And this is where we come in as you know, we put them on the right track. We say, here, look at this. They can't know everything. And sometimes our people fail us. The NIS, National Insurance Scheme, plagued with so many problems. They went to New York. It's a promise by the president. And I thought that was something very good. You're finally fixing a problem that has been plaguing us for years. You can actually, you know, the things with old folks or senior citizens within this country. You got to be careful with the use of the old folks because we have senior citizens within the studio here. If you are NIS pensioner, you were bound to every couple months, maybe a year. Is it every 6 months with a life certificate, Freddie?
Every 6 months?
Okay. You have to hand in what you call a life certificate. There's a new rule or a new procedure now. You don't have to visit NIS anymore. You could sit down with your phone, you have WhatsApp, and you WhatsApp call them on video and says, here it is, Freddie Kissoon is here. And they fill it out at you, and that is remarkable in itself. It's one of the many, I talk about indicators as to where we are as a country, how it's sticking by, buildings going up, roads going up. We having a new bridge across the Demerara River. I know I've gone on a little long, but also one of the indicators would definitely have to be the way we treat our surroundings, the way we treat our pets. If we take it for granted that we pelt every stray dog that's around the place, because we got some crazy people here. I have a little dog. She's about 9. She lost her husband a couple of years back, broke her heart because of 2 of them companions. Many Guyanese would have had grandchildren or children from those dogs, little pups, and we give it away. I never sold them. Nice little dachshunds. And I always felt very proud that that these little pups would have made their way into homes that the people loved them, and I saw them, and I felt very happy. But there are other sides to the story. Tonight in our studio, we have somebody who's going to tell us that other part that we don't talk a lot about. Because we talk a lot about politics, but what about the little pets that we have around the place, and the dogs that we mistreat, and the cats and so on? Man's the best friend. I want to say good night to my co-host Freddie Kissoon, and he's going to do the honors. He is a dog lover, he's an animal lover, and if you do anything wrong and he catches you doing it, that has to do with abuse, you're not going to hear the end of it. Freddie Kissoon, good night.
Thank you, Gildarie. We set out in this program 16 months ago that we will add to Guyana's historiography, that there will be things said on this program that were not revealed before, and the revelations have now passed into history. We have in the studio this evening a young man who will be creating history in another few weeks. Remember the saying by the famous famous cricket commentator, when he shouted out, remember the name, remember the name? Well, we have a young veterinary surgeon in the studio tonight, and you'll remember his name because he will be writing his name in history in a few weeks. This young man will be opening up the first animal hospital in Guyana. Now imagine, and this has happened to me, this has happened to thousands of other persons in this country. Imagine on a holiday at 7 o'clock in the evening, your dog sprained his or her leg, your cat got a paw torn. That animal has to be in pain because you're not a vet, you don't know how to strap it. Throughout the night until you get to the vet in the morning. It's terrible if the next morning is a holiday too. So it happens on Sunday and Monday is a holiday. Those kinds of suffering, those kinds of traumas over your pet will be over in the next few weeks. There is a swashbuckling animal hospital that will go up in Monrepo. So when 10 years, 15 years from now, when there are other animal hospitals, remember the name. The man who gave Guyana the first animal hospital is sitting right next to us, and you have to admire that kind of contribution. Now, I think it's generally accepted that pets are part of their family. I could tell you my confession on this program this evening. I love my pets just as much as I love my animals. And it's a psychic thing over a period of living with them, you do not see them as animals anymore. Your psyche is underdeveloped if you do not see social and scientific phenomena up close and personal. When you live with a pet for years, you do not come to see that pet as a pet, as an animal. You come to see that pet as an integral part of your life. And I could tell you, my pets are an integral part of my family's life. And so we have come to a wonderful, encouraging, phenomenal stage in the continuous development of this country. We are going to have, in a few weeks' time, possibly opening up in December, where there are always setbacks because of contribution, an animal hospital. The days of watching your dog or your cat in pain the night because the vet, of course, is closed, those days will be over soon. Our veterinary surgeon will also talk about some things that are not good for the faint-hearted. At least when he told me some of these stories, I couldn't take it, of what squibs and fireworks do to animals. After that long introduction, one of Guyana's outstanding veterinary surgeons is in our studio this evening, and you hear about his hospital, you hear about his experience of how people mistreat animals when it's the Wally, when it's Oli's night with the squibs. And Gildarie and I will probe him seriously about police neglect when squibs are selling across the road to the police station. What could be more unconscionable than that? Just like Gildarie had been too long-winded, our guest this evening is veterinary surgeon Nardeo Basssoodeo. His clinic is in Pashad Nagar, and I think from my own experience, it's a highly patronized clinic, and I'm not saying that any light-hearted way. I went with my dog on Monday, and the place was packed. I returned on Tuesday, and the place was packed. Ladies and gentlemen, and Guyanese, wherever you are, Nardeo Basssoodeo, Dr. Nardeo Basssoodeo. Thanks a lot for being on studio tonight. Tell us about the hospital now.
Thank you, Gildarie. Thank you, Freddie. It's an honor and a pleasure always to be in the company of wise men, people who always bring the challenges, and the persons who are there to highlight some of the most interesting stories that I've seen around for a long time. So I must congratulate these two young men for having such a wonderful program, especially for our Guyanese viewers and those abroad. So thank you for having me. And I will continue from where Mr. Kissoon left off. From the building of the animal hospital. I want to get a little bit why I chose to build an animal hospital in Guyana. A veterinarian, to invest those amount of resources and to manage an animal hospital, it's a huge task. It's something there that we must admit. For those who have been to a hospital before, I can tell you how challenging it can get sometimes. But notwithstanding those challenges that we anticipate and those that we've seen before, animals are now part of our family. Dogs, cats, some people have parrots, we have horses, rabbits. We have, in many of the rural areas, you will see people having things like cow, goat, sheep, not only as farm animals, but they have them there as pets too. I can remember having a pet sheep and my pet horse. So in that way, where we are today, from where we came from, we cannot be here in the 21st century and accept that the stages and the kind of facilities that we had in 2000 is acceptable now. We need to move on. We need to get something better. And if you move around Georgetown, you can find about more than 3 or 4 hospitals for humans. And you can find about 4 or 5 clinics for pets and various doctor clinics around town. But in the weekend, as Freddie said, let's say you have Diwali is on Sunday and Monday is going to be a holiday. So the clinics are closed. So if your dog or your cat has an injury, that animal has to wait with that injury until Tuesday. But that soon will change. Because if your animal has an accident at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night, let's say you come home after work, you're reversing your car in your yard, and your animals are so excited to see you. And then they got into an accident. So in that area here where we anticipated to have a better facility to not only render assistance to our pets in that matter, but also to bring some comfort to the families in which they live. And we know, I could tell you some of the pet owners call me 2 o'clock in the morning, and after, I answer my phone, and they're crying. And they said, Doc, I think Freddie was one of them who one night called me.
Did Freddie cry?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember. But he called me and said his dog had an injury on the jaw. That's Princess, right?
Yeah.
And the very next day, Freddie, we were doing a spay neuter campaign at the GSBCA, and I said, bring the dog in for me. I left what I was doing there, and I came up to see Princess. And when I saw Princess had multiple fracture in the jaw. Can you remember that, Freddie? Mm-hmm. Multiple fracture in the jaw. And I said, Freddie was literally shaking. He loved his pet so much. He said, Doc, do whatever that has to be done. He doesn't care about the cost. And I looked at Freddie and I said to myself,
you found his weak point.
No, I said, I am not the only one in this world who feels like that when my pet is injured.
I remember, I remember that.
I have another friend of that.
We had Max. Max was the husband of Mitzi. There's a dog that I have right now, and they're Dachshunds. Mm-hmm. And he got cancer, so very quickly he deteriorated. And by the time we catch ourselves, the vet told us that, look, we can't do very little, so we had to put him down. And they came, and I was at work. I was working at Kaiser News, and they put on the video, and I was looking at it, and he was so weak. And then they put the injection. It was just within 1, 2, 3, and he was gone. And the whole family, all the kids and everything broke down and me, I just turned it off. I didn't want to see it because you're that connected. Yeah. But let me ask, from a vet perspective, how many, let's say 1 to 10, how many homes in Guyana, let's say 10 homes, they have pets in it?
I would say, and one in for every 10 homes, you have like 7 homes that have pets.
All right, and then the alternative side, do we have a problem with strays in Guyana?
Yes, we do.
Big problem.
It's evident. It's a problem that we have, that it's getting worse. Mm-hmm. It is not getting better, because if you do look at what we tried to do a couple of years ago, with starting to do spay and neuter campaigns. Mm-hmm. It was done before, but it was done on a smaller scale. And we try to do it more frequent now. However, I think a lot of the stray population and the problems we have comes from poor parenthood. People are not spaying and neutering their pets, so that when these animals start to reproduce, they don't have enough space for them. They don't... Remember, if you have a pet, that pet is part of your family. Just like every human being we have to cater a few, or not a few, we have to put aside and we have to cater resources to cater for that pet, mm-hmm. be it financial, and you could also have the world of money, but your pet, all that they need is your time and your love and your care. So when we have these kind of things happening, you find people have a dog and two dogs, then they started to multiply. In another, they have 4 pups. Then in another 6 months, you have another 4 pups again. So that's 4 and 4, 8 and 2, 10. So then their expenses started to go up. You have to have more resources to put into that. So what people tend to do is started to neglect them. So before the neglect comes, before you bring animals into the world and you have them, you have to neglect them and you have to, be in a position of guilt. It is always better to spay and neuter your pets so that if I have 2 pets, I can take care of 2 of them, and then, there is where I will stand by them for the rest of their lives.
We are talking about, you may blush when I say this, but we're talking about a trailblazer. I mean, to imagine that there were so many top-class veterinary surgeons, and it's until 2023 we're going to get an animal hospital. I mean, how do you feel? You have now written your name in history. The first animal hospital was by a doctor called Nardeo Basssoodeo. You have to be given a national award for that one.
The national award, we'll see about that. But I must say that an animal hospital, and for me to bring it forward here today, we have one of the clinics in Guyana that has, you have used the services already, where we do ultrasonography. We have
Ultrasound free?
No, ultrasonography, which is ultrasound. We do digital x-rays, which is considered to be one of the top of the line x-rays in the country. We have a modern surgical theater, and we have a complete pharmacy with a well-staffed.
I'm quite familiar with what you have.
Yeah. So
over the 10 years I've been visiting you.
What we had needed there is to have a 24-hour services, and also to have a special department where you deal with infectious diseases, for example, parvovirus and so on. You don't want to have an animal with a highly infectious disease among healthy animals, especially in a hospital setting, or in a clinic. So you want to get them to treat them one side. However, if you have a pet and your pet has, for example, a dehydration, for example, your pet had been there in the sun all day and they're dehydrated, or they have a disease, for example, parvovirus, that are going to dehydrate them. We also need an area where we can admit them. You say, okay, I'm leaving my pet here with you, and I'm going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to call you 3 or 4 times. I would like to find out what is going on with my pet. In that way, the animal hospital will cater for all of that. And also, we will maintain the same laboratory services that we have to do blood chemistry, disease identification, and so on. But at the same time, we're trying to take it even further to do PCR, real-time PCR, some genetic testing also, so that when you come with your pet, you may not feel inferior to any one of the Caribbean countries, and even to some of the developed countries that we have. Among people are coming in from all over the globe, from all walks of life. So we can't say, Freddie and Gildarie, we're gonna walk the same path and that we did 10 years ago. We're gonna walk the same path and expect ourselves to say, okay, we're gonna call our Guyana another Dubai in another couple of years. We cannot have development of our country and leave our animals behind. We can't. So that is, with that concept there, that is how I came up to say, look, animals deserve no less than humans. So we are going to ensure that every member of the family is taken care of.
We're getting into very, very, very heartbreaking pathway now. I know I've known you a long time. I know how you come through. When I was visiting this Dr. Clinic Gildarie, it was a modest looking place. I've seen him go. And that is what is called true grit. And those are the kind of people you have to admire. Gildarie, when I took my pet 10 years ago, my pets, my cat, my dog, this man had a very modest thing. And he worked and worked and worked. And now you should see his clinic. And now we have the hospital. And I am so glad he is here on this program so Guyanese could extend their
Where's this
admiration
hospital
to
located?
Monrepo.
Monrepo.
Yeah, the hospital is located in Monrepo, right next to Melcher Furniture Store.
That's
was
by the
former-
Market Street.
Right. If you go, you see Lucky Dollar on that side of the
Yes,
road, then it will be obliquely opposite.
Oh, so it's just right along the East Coast
Corridor,
road there, and you're gonna find it by the thing.
It's the wall is the script thing. I know this.
Yeah.
We're gonna spend another 10 minutes, you on the floor, to talk about this script and this firework thing. These things are killing people's pets.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask you. You have a clinic or a hospital, whatever you would have over the years. A doctor would see some crazy, shocking, hurtful things during their time. Something that would turn you inside out. Diwali. Let's talk about Diwali and squibs. You would have seen some things which we could attribute to that would panic the dogs or the cats and cause them to probably try to escape and hurt themselves in the process. Tell us a little about that. And then we could talk about why isn't more people talking about the danger of these firecrackers on our animals? Why we not saying stop it totally? But there got to be some kind of control.
Yes.
Because I have a dog. Why would I want to inconvenience myself because you want to be happy? I have an issue with that.
Yeah. One of the things here is that we have this problem during Diwali and in the year end, in the Old Year celebration.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I've seen, look, I don't want some of the viewers just...
No, talk about it, Doc. Talk about it.
Look, I've seen dogs come into our clinic with their entire bellies here gashed, their eyes pumped out. There was one time at my clinic where the dog came in, where someone stuck a squib into his anus.
Wow.
Yes. And that dog, we had to euthanize that dog. We had to euthanize that dog. We've seen dogs, and cats trying to escape their homes, trying to climb the fence, these razor wire fences. And they come down there, torn their gut outside, their eyes damaged, their entire limbs cut off. And look, I dare anyone, any night you have a lot of squibs, in any neighborhood, check on the road how many dead animals you will see get hit down on that road. Because
they're running, yeah.
Some animals, or a lot of animals here, sound louder than us.
That's a fact.
Yeah. If you see anywhere that has fireworks, check the national parks the next morning and tell me how much dead birds you will find. Go in there and check it. Because my experience there in the national park running sometimes, when you go, for example, the Old Year's night when you have this fireworks, you go down there, you find quite a number of birds died, fell off.
But it's heartbreaking when you see what it.
If you go to Guyana zoo,
dogs.
if you go in the zoo, you will find a lot of birds. Look at the cats. Look, I can tell you this. I've seen, people say cats might be a little bit laid back. I've seen cats during this season of, you can be, anytime they have these loud fireworks and so on around, you will find that the cats, they're disoriented.
You stop right there, Doc. Me see a notice the police press release. Was it about 2-3 days back? And things like this, ladies and gentlemen, something just does not make sense. A man coming from Barbies stop the car, the police stop the car, join one of the controls. Open the car, it has contraband in it. The contraband is fireworks. Or if you can stop the man from traveling with it. And the police are the head of diamond there. And the headquarters is inside. Passing up and down. And the people selling the fireworks right there. Does that make sense to you? Why arrest a man with a car that's filled with fireworks? That does not make sense. So we could talk about it. This has been something every single year I hear about this complaint. Well, you and I are talking about it with Freddie here tonight. We're hearing about it all the time. And we as animal lovers, we understand, because if you don't have a pet, you're not going to understand the suffering, and you see it firsthand.
But the authorities,
but it doesn't make sense.
The authorities that can stop this sadism, this sadistic outrage. I can tell you how many people with power in this country have pets that they love.
But hold on, it's going to get crazier than that. As we get more money in this country with oil and gas, people are going to start caring for the animal, looking after the gardens, looking after the house and whatever. But I think one of the things that, with a vision of what the doctor is saying here now, is that he would have seen down the line what is going to happen. Now, how are you going to have a developing country or a developed country that is inconsistent with the regulations which supposed to be governing and protecting those animals? It just doesn't make sense. It has to go hand in hand as it develop.
Yeah, and look, as I always said, even to these squibs, they are called pyrotechnic devices, and there's a law in Guyana that says who are the persons that are authorized to have these devices, who are authorized to import them. For example, those people that those companies that does quarrying, the Guyana Defense Force, the Guyana Police Force. These are some of the agencies that have the right to have these type of explosives. However, these type of explosives are not supposed to be in the streets. However, but with all that being said, you still pass sometimes, and when you pass, if you pass Moripo Market or Lusignan Market or Skellen Market, wherever you pass, there are a lot of persons, not one, not two, quite a few of them, that are selling these devices. And no one can tell me that the lawmen are not around. You know, you have officers there controlling traffic. You have, people there, officers directing traffic, controlling traffic, ensuring that you don't have certain type of behaviors in these markets. Look, the GSPCA is right there in border market, right next to the border market. And sometimes when the staff go out and they take the photographs and they show you the size of the squibs and the amount of it, and everyone says that fireworks are the cause of it, but we have to also says what type of firework is it. In the world now we have silent fireworks, we have silent ones. It may be a bit more expensive, but that's a good alternative.
That's the one with the lights and stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't affect it.
Right. Then they have drones. You can even put Happy Easter, Happy Diwali, whatever it is. You can just put it up there, and those are beautiful displays of what we can have. But as I always said, there is no need for us to have more laws to govern these things. We have the law, Freddie, and we have those laws. But what we need is the enforcement of those laws. These laws are not being enforced to the way in which they're supposed to be enforced.
The Wali is Sunday.
Yeah.
Then the holiday is Monday. And if you go to those markets, including border market of the road, we're in Laluni and Irving, Queenstown, you go Saturday, you're going to be seeing those things selling.
They're going to be selling there.
What an outrageous country we live in. And I am telling you, there are people, they are very, very senior power holders in this country, in business, in politics, in the diplomatic community, that have pets that they love. Yeah. Why can't this thing be regulated?
But apply the law. Just apply the law. It's simple.
Growing up, everybody had a dog or a cat inside the home. Are you seeing a change of people's attitude toward pets? And I'm not talking only dog and cats. You have parrots. You have so many other things. Somebody tell me they got a wild pigs or something like that. Mm-hmm. The thing become the habit of the highway.
Peccary is the wild pig.
I don't know, but it says this thing that they rescued it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't doing so well, and then after they fed him, he decided to stick around, and now he's worse than a dog. When I say worse than a dog, he comes in the house swallowing himself and that kind of thing. And I said I want to see, but because it's good. But you have it. But are you seeing a swift change towards the way that we treat our pets?
Yes. Look,
People spending more money too.
yes. Look, there was a time before the pandemic where I told the rescue groups, I said we've lost a generation, but the next generation that we have coming up here, we cannot afford to allow them to go in certain directions in which we've seen some of the older folks been. So what we went and do, we went into the schools and we started to give animal welfare talks, to teach our children to say, look, these animals deserve love. If you give them love, they'll give you love. Animals love you unconditionally. And I can tell you, at my clinic there, on a daily basis, we have about 40% of the persons coming into our clinic are young people. Young people, and I can tell you, about 15% of those young people that I'm talking about are below the age of 15 years old.
Oh, nice.
Right? They are below the age of 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And let me just put this a little bit clearer. These are the persons who come into our clinic and they show a whole lot more emotions to their pet. And I can tell you where that came from. A lot of young people now, I can tell you this, when they have their little issues and they have their little breakdowns, or those who are suffering from whatever little, point they have in their corner, they turn to animals now for love. And I can show you that, because animals are not, if you have a dog or a cat, they'll come to sit down quietly, they'll brush you. Look at Princess. Princess would actually know that when, if something is wrong. Your pet would know when you come home and you're tired, no matter where you go or what you just did and come back, how you smell, if you don't have anything in your hand, when you come home, you would see a wagging tail, or you see an animal come and bracing you, and they will show you that amount of love.
I think the sense animals, pets sense, I think that they even know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But how is your hospital working along? There's a number of NGOs. I think Pause for a Cause, Tears for Hope, and so on. And I know you just spoke about the Guyana Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Is that it?
Yes.
Yes. The one by board. In fact, I adopted a dog that we named Sheena, my brother, and she lived for about 7-8 years before she died. But how is your hospital working along with these organizations to not only sensitize, but a lot of folks don't understand what they need to do for their pets?
Okay. Way before now, even before the animal hospital, we went into the schools, and as I said, we did wellness talks. We're from New Amsterdam Multilateral on the West Coast, a lot of schools in Georgetown on the East Coast. We did those because with our clinic and these NGOs, we do a lot of collaboration, especially for spay and neuter animal welfare. We just had a pet fair from Paws and Claws.
The boys, the Scouts.
Yeah, the Scouts ground. Then they had the Monster Mash there for the Rosewood Foundation. Then they had an adoption drive with Tales of Hope. We were working ever so often. Those from Pause for a Cause, the members, they would call and they would say, Doc, what do you have an advice for this? But we all work together in this arena of animal welfare because we have one common goal. It's to ensure that animal welfare gets better and better and better in Guyana. However, we need to also have some more cooperation from some of the agencies in different ministries. For example, with this issue of the fireworks.
That's the Ministry of Home Affairs.
The Home Affairs.
Yes.
Yeah. We need to have a little bit more cooperation from the Guyana Police Force. Mm-hmm. Or not a little bit more, but we just need
the problematic Guyana Police Force.
We just need them to get their job.
I think we got to start prioritizing. And this
man, how you could got people at police station.
But why are you stopping the man with the contraband and then you win and selling in front of you? Does it make sense?
I want you to speak on a piece of irony. I find it an irony, though you and Gildarie may not. Doc, there are places where Gildarie and you, Gildarie's young, you're younger. I am far older. But I can tell you in Guyana, there are places where 30 years ago, you park and you go in to the store or what have you. Today, in Guyana, 2020, you can't find parking anyway. Yeah. The animal clinic, GSPCA, is...
Wrong location.
You can't... Listen.
That's a border.
Listen, next to that place is about 5 million business places where cars are parked and blocking the street. So you have a pet and you have to find parking 4 blocks away. I am appealing to you to use your influence. I'm appealing to the government of Guyana now because they, I think, help to finance that building at Rob and Orange Walk. Move that building. That building symbolizes cruelty to animals because you can't have access to get to the place. Doc and Gildarie, well, the doctor will know. Gildarie, please visit that clinic as a long-standing media
my
person.
Taxi driver and you're going to drop me.
Look,
Me going to park there.
You can't. Listen, I'm asking you, Dr. Basssoodeo, is there anything you could do? Because in your line of work, you'll be meeting ministers, you'll be meeting. Could you advocate for that place to be moved in a country with 83,000 square miles and one of the most underpopulated country in the world? Could you move that place from Orange Walk and Rob Street?
You see, Freddie and Leonard, I'm gonna tell you this here. Many times when we were doing Spain with the campaigns there at the GSPCA, like during the week, Monday to Saturday, or Monday to Friday, I have to come off of my vehicle sometime from Albert Street and walk down. Mm-hmm. Or I have to stop here and walk in. Because you don't have parking. And I'm aware that the GSPCA has been asking for land. If they had any luck about that, I'm not too sure. If they had any luck about in getting a piece of land to move that shelter.
Which ministry it comes under?
Ministry of, it could be the Ministry of Housing, but you could also ask the president too.
That there is from I think it was from agriculture. I'm not
the agriculture could push it too because I think
so well, the GSPCA could,
the GSPCA they
on the board.
They have some because they deal with animal health, so they come on agriculture.
It's not that very hard, man. We get
but Doc, you're on the board and you're one of the most prominent veterinary surgeons. You now going is us opening the first animal hospital. Can't you talk to the president, the minister? That place has to move.
Yeah, they have been conversations there, but as to say how far they gone with those negotiations or getting a piece of land to move the GSPCA from there.
Well, we can get a minister very shortly in the very near future, and we're going to raise this issue with him. I want to bring you to another side, the dark side of pets in Guyana. A lot of, well, not a lot of folks. There's a couple of people in Guyana who raise dogs, and they also raise what do you call them? Those
fighting dogs?
The fighting fowls.
That's a crime.
The cocks.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a crime against humanity.
So you have that in the dogs. Are you seeing a lot of visits to the vet to treat injuries as a result of those?
Yeah, Leonard, that's a very, very good question. And I must say that you did your research. Those animals that are ended up in fighting and those breeders that are breeding animals for fighting, especially the dog fight and the cock fight, they hardly go to veterinarians. Sometimes they never go to veterinarians.
What happened to those animals?
We have something called paravet or quacks out there So
Quack
animals
doctors.
get
Okay, quack
quack
vets.
vets.
Quack vets.
Quack
Yeah.
vets. Okay.
When these animals get injured, a lot of them don't survive because the persons that are treating them are not qualified. They are not knowledgeable about what they're doing. And I can tell you, many times when you have illegalities going on, they would not go to someone who would tell them this is illegal. They will go to someone who
But take the money.
will take their money, right? But if something happened to those animals, can one illegal person, can one illegality report another? You can't have that. And then when we try to fight these illegalities, like to get some agencies to help us to fight these, to stop these quacks from operating, it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle because it is something there that somebody just say, okay, we're gonna help you, and they push you aside.
I want to reveal something to you. Please tell me if I'm incorrect. I understand is scholarships. Well, UG does not offer degree in veterinary. I understand scholarship in veterinary medicine is almost off the books.
Freddie,
We are an agricultural country. You would think.
Yeah.
You would think.
No, we have quite for a period of time. Students did not go to study veterinary medicine, but right now we have a few coming back, probably next year and the other year. But
And they're
for
state
them-
bound. They have to serve this.
right. And there are also quite a number of persons that are actually studying right now. To give you
On scholarship studying
right,
abroad.
yeah, but to give you a direct number, I don't have that on hand. But I can tell you, we need more vets. We need to have right now for the animal hospital, we have to look to other countries to have veterinarians to fill those vacancies. that is
Scholarships
gonna
are
come up.
being offered to Brazil, Cuba in veterinary medicine.
Yes, we have persons studying in Brazil. We have some persons studying in Russia. We have some persons studying in Dominica. We have some study in, I think it is the EU countries. So we have, and I think we have one or two persons studying in the US. But to give you the exact number, but I know that the government of Guyana did advertise some scholarships for the past 3 years, and people have been getting them.
This show here would shock you with some of the things that we asked. Freddie Kissoon would shock me many times with the way he asks questions and the way he expresses himself. And that's all right. I'm about to ask the vet something here which might not be palatable to some of you.
You're going to be like Freddie Kissoon
Yes,
now.
I'm going to be a Freddie Kissoon here tonight. Do we have instances with Doc, of where is it prevalent? Do we see instances where you have to put down an animal because of, I don't know if this is the right term I'm using, sexual abuse by human to animals? Is it prevalent?
It isn't. We've had cases, but it's not a widespread thing. But I've come across cases or 3 cases within the past 5 years. However, a lot of these cases of abuse, especially sexual abuse towards animals, is not being reported because sometimes when these animals, when people report stuff, for example, to get certain action, it's difficult. It's difficult to get action sometimes. So we have to sometimes, I would say because us in the animal welfare community, it's sometimes difficult to get cooperation. We do get cooperation, yes, but from some of the authorities. But when you go to the people, for example, you have a dog there that was sexually abused, and then the persons come, they report it. When we go to do follow up and started to get the case going, then someone say, man,
Yes.
headache, right?
You don't think we have reached the age?
Yeah,
You don't think we have reached the age in this world
yeah.
where people should not see an animal, a horse-drawn, vehicle?
I was about to raise that, but go
Oh
ahead.
my
and
God,
ask
man,
it.
that's cool. No, I have noticed over the past 20 years, there's a decrease in bicycle ownership. And I think that's because of the economy. And as the specialists that were here keep telling us, by 2027, Guyana is going to be a terrific recipient of huge oil income. As a society gets more economically rich, shouldn't we do away? No, it's poor guys from Charlestown, poor guys of the East Coast in Sophia. But shouldn't they be given an incentive to buy a little wagon or something and do away with when you look at that thing on the road, Gildarie, these cars.
I think there's a debate to be had. Let me tell you why, and the Doc could jump in here. Could you realistically operate a horse-drawn, whatever you want to call it, cart, right? And do it in a way which could take care of that animal. Could you do it without overloading? Could there be such a scenario in which there could be rules of engagement? Because some places, in some countries, there's no cars, some islands and so on, because the laws are that if you have a horse or whatever it is, they pull the carts. So there could be some rules of engagement where you can't overload it.
Oh God, you're asking the police to.
No.
You're asking the police
I'm
to
just
do
saying,
that.
because if you're saying it's either you get rid of it completely or you said there must be some rules of engagement there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, one of the things that we need, and I've always said that we need an animal welfare commission, because that commission, look, we can't put all of these responsibilities on the police, because I don't think that they can handle everything that they have right now, right? Because they have a lot on their plates. So what we need there is an animal welfare commission. We need to have a proper animal welfare law that caters for a commission, establish the commission, enforce it, and then that commission will be able to tackle some of these things. For example, we have Rights of the Child Commission, which they are tackling their issues. Ethnic Relations Commission. Well, we can have a commission there for because look, it's not only horse-drawn carts you're gonna see there. What about some of these trucks that are carrying animals to the slaughterhouse, and it's pouring rain, and it's hot sun,
and they got about 15 animals in that.
Yeah, and they're packed there,
right?
Yeah, they have
we
so
still
much
use
things.
the abattoir in Water Street. That place should have been. That place should have been demolished a million years ago.
I'm not sure.
We don't have a new abattoir.
No, but you've raised something there, right? And Freddie, sometime or the other, we might have to have a conversation about this. Do you know that one of the best way to punish people is by hurting them in the pocket? And why do I say that? Is that a good thing for this country if you want people to comply? If you're speeding, put a $20,000 fine on them and see how fast they start complying. But this, you gotta, of course, have honest police officers. But imagine you start putting fines in whether it's a car ticket that you park wrong, you double park, whatever it is, and make it so difficult. Don't give them a $7,000 man, say take the or give the police a $5,000 and say let's get on with it. But you start implementing fines, and it's not only fines in for the way animals are being treated, but almost everything. In New York, for example, and I could only say that because it's where I visit. If you make a mistake and you put the bottle in the wrong garbage bag, and things are supposed to go there when it's supposed to go there, you would get a citation for it.
Yeah, you
would have to pay a fine. If you cross a toll bridge and you don't pay that toll ticket there, that thing builds up, you get interest, and if you don't pay that, they seize the car, suspend your insurance, and do all kind of things to you. Freddie Kissoon, that is the only way for you to start regulate a society which is by its culture in itself, law breaking. We just like to break the laws.
Donkey carts, those poor donkeys, and when it's raining,
start putting fines on them.
Look, another thing we can do also is there are regulations or there are laws governing those carts, because those carts were established there in the days when gasoline-driven vehicle and these mechanical vehicles we have now are running. So what we're gonna have to do, for example, make sure that the horses are they have a proper shoe, that they're carrying the load that they're supposed to carry. The hours, for example, in the very hot sun, they are not on the road. They are properly fed, because you don't want a horse that is coming to pull a car that is limping, that is malnourished, that is not vaccinated. You understand? So when you started to get these things, for example, if a man realized that he got to spend $5,000 from a horse to make $5,000 more, but if you go and buy a canter, and he invests $5,000 in a canter and he can make $20,000 more, which one he would prefer? You understand what I'm saying there? And that is what Gildarie is talking about too, is that you have to put the money into, you have to show people the economics of it, and to say, look, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you cannot take this horse to the road, and it will cost you.
You have to comply.
There's
a license for everything.
For example, let me ask you something here. Your car hit a horse cart on the road. Who is compensating you for your car?
There's no insurance. If a government vehicle hits you too, you get no insurance again.
So we need to have a system where they even pay an insurance, so that if there is an accident on the road, somebody can be compensated.
But look, Doc, what you saying,
Right?
before you jump in, Freddie, and this thing here, when I hear some of these things, I start talking business right in the head. Me at this one is, or somebody's be talking to me.
You show your head good?
I don't know. But Freddie, do you know how much revenues is being lost? A few people are being made to pay maybe 80% of the revenues, taxes, income tax and property tax and whatever it is in this country, while the majority going. I'll just give you one example. Don't ask me for more. Truck drivers getting $5,000 per load of sand. You know that, right? Hold on. They're making 3 or 4 trips. They ain't get nobody capping the amount of trips they're making per day. This is why they got so much accidents. I just got one question to ask the people out there. You know how much taxes they're paying? You know, most of them don't pay NIS.
What's the relevance of that too?
What's the relevance? We having a lot of leakages, and we could spin off from it, but we have a lot of
so
leakages.
You could take that money and help the animals.
Of
Okay.
course, you
Point-
could go, Freddie. Freddie,
point
because you got to
taken.
think out of the box.
Point taken.
Jeez.
And if the box don't have a lock, don't have a,
God
a
help
key
you, Freddie
to
Kissoon.
open.
God help you.
I want Doc. I would like to give you, and I can speak on behalf of Gildarie, when the hospital is officially open, we'd like to take some video clips, and when we have our calling program, we will show those video clips. So that will probably likely be in January. But I can assure you from all sincerity, when there's official opening, we will show some of the clips. This is going to be the first animal hospital in Guyana, and I think it's going to excite every Guyanese. We will show those clips when the hospital is officially open. You will have the relevant minister cutting the ribbon, but I can assure you we will show those clips. Our time is going, and I want, before you, our time run out, I want to say you have my profound admiration in opening Guyana's first animal.
Thank you.
Those animals now can rest in peace at 10 o'clock in the night. They go to the hospital, they're sedated, and their wounds can be treated.
Yeah.
I would want you to make a closing statement. You have the opportunity to meet with President Finale. Can go ahead on that. And you want to make a case to him towards the improvement or protection of pets, animals in Guyana. What would you say to him?
Look, I spoke to the president on a few matters, and I could tell you, when he had the cricket for charity, he did give some of the money to the building of a shelter. His son Zaid did 2 or 3 lemonade sales. I don't remember.
I remember that.
Yes, and I admired the first family for that. And I'm gonna tell you that I've been there around him with animals in that area, and he has a lot of love and admiration for animals and the people who work with them. And President Ali, I am gonna say this about him, because I can, if I go and ask him for X, Y, or Z now, he may not give you a direct answer at this point in time, but he will tell you, we will work on it. But if there is one thing that I would like to see for animal welfare, is that we have a piece of land somewhere for the GSPCA to move their shelter away from where they are right now, because of the accessibility issue that you have, the congestion, and also that the GSPCA operation that they have there is only limited to the small space that they have. So if they can have bigger space, they can do bigger things.
Gildarie, one of the biggest economy in the world, one of the most successful economies in the world, is occupied by a nation, and the space they occupy is 326 square miles. Singapore, one of the most patronized island by the people of the world, which is our neighbor, is 166 square miles. I think some rivers in the Essequibo is more than 166 square miles. Why a veterinary surgeon has to come here and ask for a piece of land for the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals in a country of 83,000 square miles, in which when you leave Vizslas and you keep driving, it's endless land. When you go up the East Bank, heading for the airport, it's endless land. When you're going up to Linden, when you go to Region 6, when you go...
Well, that is a question for the night. We have placed it. I think the good doctor would have raised that issue. And what is important is what I started out with, what we said at the beginning of this show, which is in every country that is developing and developed, there are indicators which would say that we are good people, we have good standards, and these are the things that we should live by. And Guyana is, within a matter of weeks, going to have the first ever animal hospital. And in the studio today would be the man who would have been putting it together, behind it, worked very hard. And it is just one of the many things that's happening across this good land of ours. Let's keep an eye on the prize at the final destination. As by long, the race is not going to be over. We have many, many years to go. We have many generations to come. What we do here, the amount of the scrutiny that we place, and what we say to our leaders, it is going to be important for the years to come. On behalf of myself and Freddie and the good doc, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I've stayed clear away from that. But if you want this hospital...
Nardeo Basssoodeo.
Yes, if you want this hospital, it's just right there in Mondripo, right by Melcher Furniture Store. Can't miss it. Just go there and you're going to be seeing it forever. And it's good for this country.
Could I ask the cameraman to just put... remember the name. Remember the name. Remember the name.
All right, good folks. Thank you very much for joining us. Unusual topic tonight, but it is part of the process of bringing sensitization to our people. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with you on Friday.